2023 Jeep Gladiator Mojave 4x4 in Sting Gray. And through this review, I'll be comparing this against the new Chevy Colorado, the Toyota Tacoma, the 23 model, and touching bases of some of the refresh to see which one has the best everyday use and still packs rugged performance. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides. I'm going to go over all the specs and details starting now. New Jeep Gladiator Mojave comes out with the best ground clearance at 11.6 inches, fording through water at 30 inches. Performance hood is what we're set with the Mojave badging. You got your halogen headlights and the traditional 7-slot grille. You can also option a trail cam, which I would do so. It's maybe $700-800. That'll be stationed right in front of that 7-slot grille, doing your rock crawl because you have these upgraded Fox 2.5 performance internal bypass shocks for the front and the rear, true lock rear axle, front and rear axle ratio at 4.1, 5 skid plates. This chassis was overhauled for optimal high-speed desert running. The suspension is tuned sportier for quicker reactions to avoid obstructions in the desert. Heavy-duty Dana 44 wide front and rear axle, which helps with the power for these 33-inch all-terrain tires. 17-inch wheels, pairing this against Chevy Colorado. The ZR2 will increase your ground clearance to 10.7, but you decrease in your towing to 6,000 pounds. The TRD goes up to nearly 10 inches of clearance. A length at 218 inches with a wheelbase at 137.3 inches. The American flags are now on both fenders, and above that, your desert rated badging. 2 tow hooks in the back, just like the front. Spare tire tucked underneath. Soft to open to go inside. 60.3 inches of a length, 56.8 inches of a width between the wheel well housing at 44.8 inches, a height of 33.9 inches, cargo volume at 35.5 inches. Max payload up to 1,200 pounds with a max towing at 7,650 pounds, which the best in class will be the Colorado, and then this. Let's go inside, start this 3.6 liter up, and hear that exhaust note. The rugged desert-rated style Jeep Gladiator Mojave has an appearance like no other vehicle. And the reason why is because it's still a Jeep. So you have all the actual components of a Jeep with a truck bed. And they back the performance with a 3.6 liter V6 producing 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque that's paired to a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, achieving 17 to 22 mpgs with a 0 to 60 around 7.2 seconds and a quarter mile around 15.6 seconds. Horsepower will be more than the Toyota Tacoma V6. It's not going to be as much as the ZR2, but then you'll lose the towing, you gain some ground clearance, but you also lose some payload. With this variant, you get the best of everything because you have nearly 12 inches of ground clearance. The speeds is quick enough for your everyday drive. You got all-terrain tires, for God's sakes. So you're going to take this thing on the weekend and really have some fun, because if you don't, there's really no reason to buy a Mojave. Let me know in the comments what you think about the 2023 Jeep Gladiator Mojave. As we go into the interior, go over the tech, and take this for our test. Entering inside the Jeep Gladiator Mojave, almost 12 inches of clearance. So I would recommend getting some running boards. Headroom starts at 42.8 inches, 41.2 inches of legroom. Front sport bolstered leather bucket seats. 6-way manual adjustment for the driver, 4-way manual adjustment for the passenger. You get the contrast stitching and the Mojave badging. The dashboard will have the same setup as all of the Jeep. You will have that orange around all of your air vents and that contrast stitching with a storage pocket, 8.4-inch touchscreen with navigation for Uconnect 4 with the pinch and the swipe. Click those applications: Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming, Bluetooth audio. The nice thing about Jeeps is you always have the off-road page capability, in which you can go through your drivetrain, You can go through your accessories, your pinch and roll. Everything is live. Go into your control. Here is for your backup camera. You would click on there and you have full trajectory. You can also zoom in for the tow lineup. Underneath it, you get your climate control, USB A and C port with your aux, and a 12 volt to put up and down your windows. Your axle locker for the rear only, a storage area that I'm not able to actually fit my phone. Everyday materials are going to be around the gear knob, and the leather is going to be wrapping the transfer case and your gear knob area. Cup holders, a 20 ounce should be sufficient with an area for your key fob. Gonna be pretty soft for a Jeep. Open up inside to the first tier, a little bit of storage. Open up again, it's a deeper storage with a USB port. Going on to your 3-spoke leather wrap steering wheel, it's heated, multi-function, Jeep badging in the center with the orange stitch work. The gauge cluster has an array of information for the driver. You can also go and toggle into the off-roading page so you don't have to use your infotainment screen. The door panel, it's going to be more everyday materials. Going to be pretty soft for your elbows, and you'll have a pretty decent storage area. They are removable doors. For the back seats, I'm at 42.8 inches of headroom, which is the same as the front. 38.3 inches of legroom, which is the best in class. Where you rest your arms, you're going to be covering your cup holder, so you'll have to utilize the other side. You have 2 USB-A ports, 2 USB-C ports, and a home plug with your air vents in the center, cup holders there, and you have some storage behind both of the seats, and you got the little grid. Speakers are going to be right in front of you. The door is going to be more of an everyday material, more firm to ride. You get a little storage pocket. The seats fold up at a 40-60 split with a storage divider. The floor is not completely flat. They also fold downward, so that way you can put cargo and some more storage behind both of the seats. Sitting into the center, headroom is absolutely no problem, nor is legroom. Feet kind of is because of the cup holders in the center, so it's a little bit awkward the way you sit because you have to put your feet outwards. But in shoulder space would not be an issue if the floor was flat and you didn't have the cup holders there. Kind of wish that they put them more towards the crotch area, so that way you can actually move your feet around a little bit more freely. But for the most part, this is the best in class for leg space, even in the center. Taking the 2023 Jeep Gladiator Mojave out for our test run, 3.6 liter V6 with 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 around 7.2 seconds. So it's not going to be the fastest in the category, but it is faster than the Toyota Tacoma. You do sit up higher. You will have a little bit of an echo inside. All-terrain tires, so it's going to feel a little bit more bumpy. Leather wrap seats, so it's going to be a little bit more comfortable. No power seat adjustments. You do feel the road at a lower speed. There's really nothing to offset that because of the tire setup that we have, but this is designed to go in the desert. So driving it on every day, you can do so, and that's what we're going to show you right here. As for the towing capabilities and payload, it pretty much ticks that box. If you go into the Colorado, you get the ZR2 pack, you start losing that, and then this one will be the best in class. Gonna give her a little go. And the noise filters in because it's a Jeep, so you still have the DNA of a Jeep with a truck bed. That's the best of both worlds when you go into this class of a vehicle. Because the braking isn't so good, try your maneuverability when people cut in front of you, and you see you can still maneuver without too many issues. It's not that wide of a vehicle. The steering is going to have some play in it. Going to try to check the turn radius at a stop point. Is going to receive about 2 in a part lane. Let's rock and roll. It's getting there. All right. Now there is 3 things I like and 3 things that I dislike. Is anything more than that, I'd be buying this Mojave. To start off with, you have the performance shocks, 2.5 from Fox. This is a tuned suspension for the desert, so you can race in it. That's crazy. It's not going to do anything for the road though. So just keep that in mind. The second thing that I like, you have the best leg and head space in all of the rivals. And this is still a truck. So you got to think, you got the Jeep to go off-road and desert, and you have capabilities to fit a family of tall people without any issues. Taking me to the last thing that I like is you have the most charging ports, easiest technology. Even though this is not going to be the biggest screen, it's big enough, but it does lead me to things that I dislike. Starting off with, you have the option, the trail cam. It should be standard because this is a desert rate vehicle. Driving this thing on a daily basis, you're going to be hitting about 2.5 to 3 RPMs regardless. The second thing that I dislike about the vehicle is the back seat is not a flat floor. The reason why I don't like this is because if you get into the Honda Ridgeline, this doesn't necessarily compare to that, but it's a flat floor. When you lift the seats up, you have a lot more cargo. Here you lose that cargo capabilities, and it's also going to be tight for your feet space if you're sitting people in the center. The last thing that I dislike about the vehicle is the sound system to it. The standard sound system is not that good. You get 4 speakers, it's not very loud, it gets distorted, and when you're at this price point, you really want to start seeing more of 8 speakers. I know it sounds like it's a lot, but you have so little in here that it doesn't sound enough. Everyday drive, it can be done. It's going to be the noisiest of all of the rivals. Also, the steering is going to sway the most of all the rivals. The Colorado will be more cleaned up in the interior because it's a fully refreshed vehicle. You will have options for other power variants that have more performance than this, but then you also start losing capabilities that you gain in this. Comparing it to the Toyota Tacoma, this one is going to be one of those weekend trips that you don't just take it off-roading, you take it to the desert, so it conquers that one night and day. Interior, you're going to have a lot more space in the back seat than that vehicle. It's going to be very tight for anybody that's over 6 foot tall. For the front, it's going to feel a little bit more performance driven for this model comparing to all of the rivals. So you do sit closer to the gauges than you will those ones. And for the hood, it's going to be more performance oriented, but it just kind of goes downwards, which is a good thing because I know exactly where my fenders and my bumper